Welcome back to the List Building Lifestyle. I'm your host, Igor Kafetz, and today I am really excited because after months and months and months of chasing him, I finally got my friend Tom Woods on the show. Now, the reason I'm really excited is because he's like a unicorn in what we do. So we're in the internet marketing, make money online space, and you don't get to meet people like Tom a lot because Tom is actually, he runs a political show. He's got a political show that you can look up. Just look him up, Tom Woods or Tom Woods Show. And he's mostly talking about politics and politics-related topics online. But for some reason, he also tends to make a lot of money during virtually any affiliate competition he participates in. And the way I discovered it was when I was promoting a program that doesn't exist anymore. I won't mention its name, but I was pretty good at it. I was actually like, if not all-time number one, then at the very least number one for that year. I think I made over $200,000 in that program. And throughout the whole year, I kept looking at the leaderboard, and there was this guy, Tom Woods. He's always like number 3, number 2, number 4, number 3. He's always there. And I'm Googling him, and I was like, this doesn't seem right. Anything that comes up for Tom Woods is a political related thing. There's probably a different Tom Woods. But eventually I finally realized that it turns out you can be an influencer in a non-related space and then take that list, and with some smart tactics, of course, not just randomly taking that list and start blasting it with different offers they didn't sign up for. But if you're smart about it, you can build a presence in a different market using the relationship and rapport you've built with the audience in your niche. So that is why I am really pumped to welcome Tom Woods to the List Building Lifestyle. Tom, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here, Igor. Thank you.
So tell us, how did that even come to be? So you run a political show, but how did you end up even getting into this affiliate marketing space or the make money online space?
Well, first of all, now that I'm in it, this is the way my brain works constantly. So just the other day, I discovered that my 17-year-old daughter, Veronica, has a friend who has a YouTube channel with 700,000 subscribers. It's a Minecraft channel. And said, my first thought was, is he monetizing that? I'm thinking, if you have 700,000 YouTube subscribers and you're not making 6 figures a year, then I'm going to smack you in the face. This is ridiculous. If he's not, then you got to send him to me and I will teach him how he can, make a fortune with 700,000 subscribers, right? So this is on my mind constantly. I'm always looking for opportunities for myself and for others. But anyway, so the way it got started was something like this. There's a guy out there named John Lee Dumas, and he hosts a very long-running podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire. He's been doing that since longer than I've been running the Tom Woods Show. He does an episode 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I have never seen anything like it, and that's why he does it that way. He said, I do it that way because nobody else was, so I decided to do it. So I joined he has a podcast training program called Podcaster's Paradise. So I joined that even though I was about a year and a half into podcasting. I figure I can always learn more. And it was about how to start a podcast, all the technical requirements, but also how to grow a podcast and how to monetize a podcast. Well, who wouldn't want to know about that? If you're putting in a lot of effort, why wouldn't you want that? And he had on that site some suggestions for monetizing. And one of them took me over to JVZoo, where, which I don't use as much anymore, but at that time, almost everything I was interested in promoting was done through them. And that was where I could find all kinds of interesting offers that might be of interest. And I came across somebody named Sarah Young. And I've promoted her maybe 2-3 times, a couple times at least. And what was interesting about her is that she is a stay-at-home mom with at least 5 or 6 children. And she had not envisioned she would stay home. She thought she would have her first child, be home with the child for a while, then go back to work. She said, I had that first child and I laid eyes on him and I said, I'm not going back to work. I'm staying home with this kid. And so she had to figure out at that time how to make a living. And so that was when, back when the internet was more in its infancy, you could start an affiliate site and get a lot of traffic organically, and it wasn't as hard as it is now. So she started a site where she would promote like Amazon products about babies. So she would have baby strollers, stuff like that. So people shopping for baby strollers would find her site, click on the products, and she would make commissions. Then all her neighbors wanted to know how she was, making money from home. So she taught them. So I brought her on my show, my as you say, my political show. Although because it's called the Tom Woods Show, that kind of gives me some latitude to just talk about anything that's interesting to Tom Woods, because then it's not false advertising. And Tom Woods is very interested in how this stay-at-home mom is somehow making a living. And also Tom Woods, being a libertarian, wants his libertarian audience not to just talk about how, in theory, capitalism is a superior system to socialism or whatever we want to talk about, but how about actually going out there and doing it, selling things, like offering something to the world. So I brought her on my show and I said, tell me your story. How did you get started in this? And so at that time, she was running a training program, kind of showing people how in this day and age you cannot just throw up a one-page affiliate site. Google won't even rank it. It's hopeless. So you have to do something different these days. So she had a whole thing of how to do that. So I brought her on to talk about that, and I figured I'll promote her program. My mom ended up joining her program, as a matter of fact, and I did really well. It turns out I ended up being the #1 seller of her program. And I didn't even have an email list dedicated to that subject. I had just brought her on my podcast. I made, a few references in my regular mailing list, because my regular mailing list, it's true, it is about politics and history and economics. But again, it's the Tom Woods letter. So whatever's interesting to Tom Woods could theoretically go in it. So I put a few PSs in there. Oh, PS, by the way, if you missed Sarah Young the other day, she has a really compelling story. And so I was not making a hard sell. It was just, if you're interested in this, and sometimes that works better, by the way, if it looks like you're desperate. Like I can't stand when I get emails, you've got to see this. You must be there. You better. That shows the seller is desperate, because I don't have to see this. Like, I can obviously live without it. So I just made a very soft sell, and it worked very, very well. And so that's when I realized that's the crossover, which is, in my case, the crossover is that we talk all about the nobility of the marketplace and commerce and why there's nothing morally wrong with selling something to people. We're not communists, there's no problem with this. Then I ought to live, and they ought to live what they believe. And so I have let's say a chunk of my audience that, especially after 2020, when they saw how readily regimes around the world could close businesses down. Well, gee, if you're not at least mildly interested in having at least an online side hustle, then I don't know what I could ever do for you to convince you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did I hear it right? Your mom ended up buying Sarah's program?
Yeah, she did. And for a while, she had a fairly successive site that was dedicated to gaming, and particular things like gaming chairs. She didn't know there was such a thing as which I didn't either. There's a gaming chair that people who are really avid gamers want to have.
I got one right there.
Gaming chairs, of course, they're a high ticket item. And so the nice thing about that is that obviously, selling affiliate products through Amazon is not the way to, super duper riches, because the margins just aren't high enough for the commissions to be super high. But if you're selling a bunch of high ticket products, those do add up. And also the way Amazon works is if you click on an Amazon link, I'm sure you know this, but whatever the person buys, even if they don't buy that particular product, whatever the person buys in that 24-hour period, you get credit for. So when she made her first sale, she didn't make her first sale. She made 20 sales at once. It all came in as 20 sales. And so she was in the Facebook group for Sarah Young. And Sarah was saying, this isn't usually how it works. Like you're always happy about your first sale. You made 20, but that's how it worked for her.
Yo, it's Igor. I want you to have my Amazon best-selling book for free for taking the time to listen to my podcast and to watch my YouTube videos. Now, I'm not only going to give you this book for free, but I'm going to throw in about $3.2 thousand in free bonuses. Now, if you want to get this book, please click the link in the description, or you can also go to igorsbook.com. And now, back to the podcast. No, that's incredible. That's how you know you're really, really good at this stuff, is if even your mother ends up buying through your affiliate links. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
this is
that's
not
right.
something most internet marketers can say about the products they promote as well as their own.
Right.
So wow, that's
That's
pretty incredible. So let's let's dive a little deeper. So you had this taste. You got a taste, right? So what happens then? How did you just look at it and said, well, okay, and let it go? Did you start developing that direction? What happened?
I decided I need to have a separate list for this because I realized that there's obviously intense interest in it, given how well I did with Sarah. Um, there's intense interest in it among my people, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who have no interest in it whatsoever. So I can't clog my initial mailing list with this. I have to build a separate one. And so that's what I went ahead and did. And so that way on the new list, the internet marketing list, I can promote like mad. And I don't promote, I promote in the Ben Settle, Michael Cheney kind of storytelling style. I don't promote with just here's an offer, here's an offer, here's an offer, here's an offer. I make these emails compelling enough that people just have to open them and read them. So I decided to do that, but that meant that you know as well as I do that if you want to build a mailing list, you don't just say, hey, here's how you sign up to get my newsletter. Nobody does that. Even though the newsletter is free, they need another free thing in order to be persuaded to join your list. So I thought, what would my free thing be? And I thought, well, I've actually been making a decent living online for some time, and I have various ways that I've done it. Because I had done affiliate marketing before, but not for IM products. I had done it for Bluehost web hosting, which is I suppose is sort of an IM product, really. But I had done it for foreign language courses, lots of different things. And of course, I had done podcasting. And podcasting, you can run ads and you can make money that way. So I decided I would write an ebook on 5 different things that I myself have experience with online. That I can walk people through step by step because I've gone through the steps. So I didn't buy some PLR book and throw it up there. I wrote this thing myself, and it's called 5 Paths to an Online Income. So pathstoincome.com is where it is. And so I put that up, and I would channel people from the first list so as to not bother the ones who really don't care about this, who have fulfilling careers or they already have more money than they need or whatever the reason is. I would take them off that list, or not off, but I would keep them on that one and then also bring them onto the new one. And then on my podcast, I would mention the website or on social media. And so that way I built up another list. Now, this other list has never, I don't want to, it's sort of proprietary how many I have on my main list, but on my IM list, it's only at about 17,000. Now, so some people listening to this might think that sounds like an enormous number. But when you compare that to some of the big guns in internet marketing, that's like nothing. I'm like an insect compared to them. And in fact, through most of the time when you were encountering my name, I wasn't even at 10,000. But I was good at engaging with that list. And then secondly, if I wanted to promote something that I really believed in that was high ticket, I'd get them on the podcast and talk to them. And then that would warm people up to them. And then I would combine that with really hitting that second list. So I've been able to do it without some kind of massive buyer list because I really don't have IM products that I sell. I really am strictly, at least at this point, that'll change. But at this point, I'm strictly affiliate. And I nevertheless built up, a decent sized list, but a responsive list. That's the key thing.